All right, we've got week 2 emotional regulation recap here. Not a ton of specific questions, but some more concept questions. So I wanted to address those. Self-talk with a twist, the internal family systems model that we talked about. That one has brought up some questions, and I think that's normal. I think it's totally normal. This is some challenging work that I'm asking you to do here. And so if you're feeling challenged, that means you're right on schedule, right where you should be. The point here is to introduce you to ideas that you can expand on later. So we talked a little bit last week about the fire hose of information coming at you. And it's important here to remember that we're looking for quality, not just quantity. So if one of these tasks, like if the self-talk with a twist task is taking some time, that's okay. Depending on your schedule and really your bandwidth for this sort of thing, give yourself time and give yourself some grace to sit with it if you can. And if not, give yourself some grace. This will come up again at some point in your life. You can trust yourself to engage in the growth that this is asking you to do. And sometimes we're just not there yet. Sometimes we already have done our work for that season, and our work is kind of on pause for a second. That doesn't mean that we don't keep actively going after it, but sometimes there's times where we're kind of fallow a little bit, the fields that they let kind of go fallow is what they call it, where they're not producing anything, and that's okay. So if that's where you're at right now, that's totally fine. I would encourage you, though, if you have some sort of journaling system or some sort of reflection system that you use to manage your growth and kind of be consistent in that, write some of these questions down, write some of these feelings down. Odds are at some point you will be ready to address this stuff. You will be ready to go into this stuff. And if now's not the time, put a tack in it. Put a flag in it of hey, I kind of want to approach this later. And there'll be a time where that will be more comfortable. The self-talk with a twist, I'm just looking at my notes here. We're looking through our exiles, our firefighters, and our managers. Sometimes that's just enough. Sometimes if that feels really insightful and kind of eye-opening to maybe the why behind some of your behaviors or behind some of the patterns that you've noticed in your life, hell yeah, use that. Use that strength and that growth that you've taken from just that information and that sort of mindset and perspective to look at yourself. Is this an exile behavior? Is this a firefighter? Is this a manager? Sometimes that's enough. And if you want a deep dive, go for it. So we didn't have a ton of other questions other than kind of how do I do this? And it feels kind of overwhelming. Just another gentle reminder with the HRV stuff that we're doing with the Pulse app. Try not to get too fixated on an actual event. If you feel like you have the space to do that and really hone in on why the heck was it here? But what we're looking for is patterns. Are there patterns throughout my day where I'm really doing well and then I'm not? What's going on in my life that's kind of contributing to that area where I'm not processing my stress well, where my body is responding in a heightened but poorly processing way of my stress? That's where the HRV tracking really shines. Funny enough, one of the folks was chatting with me about their HRV scores, and this participant does cold plunge, and every morning her heart rate variability, she's at a 1. She has 2, 3, 2, and then right at 8 a.m. when she does her cold plunge, her heart rate variability drops. And that really brought about an interesting conversation about the physical realities of exposing ourselves to discomfort and how we would think that we'd actually have a really heightened stress response to that. And we do, but in that cold plunge, which is so interesting, we had consistently, she was showing her she was at like a 1. She was managing her stress really well, even though it was a really stressful environment. So that got me kind of excited about like more and more what the potential of knowing what our HRV is as a way to keep ourselves connected to our bodily experience. Anyway, looking forward to chatting about week 3 with you guys. What do we got? We got social connection and relationships. Excited to dive in. All right.